Time is money is an example of dash. Time is money is an example of metaphor. He is the black sheep of the family. What ornamentation of language has been used here? Metaphor. The camel is the sheep of the desert. Which of the following figures of speech is used in this sentence? Metaphor. My heart leaped into my mouth. What type of comparison is used in the sentence? Metaphor. A simile involves an explicit comparison. Metaphor involves implicit comparison. My love is like a red rose is an example of a simile. Which figure of speech do you find in the following expression? I wander lonely as a cloud. Simile. We have short time to stay as you is an example of simile. Continuous as the stars, they stressed is an example of simile. We dash dry away like to the summer's rain is an example of simile. He was moving as fast as a train. Here as fast as is simile. Deuce of death is an example of metaphor. A paradox is dash. A paradox is an improbable combination of opposing qualities. Apparently contradictory words appearing in conjunction is called dash. Is called paradox. Paradox means dash. Paradox means a statement containing two opposing but true ideas. Paradox is a statement that is dash. Paradox is a statement that is self-contradictory. The word paradoxical refers to dash. The word paradoxical refers to contradictory. Paradox is a statement which is apparently self-contradictory. There is no one so poor as a wealthy miser. This is an example of paradox. The sentence, death though salt die, is an example of paradox. The technique of treating non-living things as humans is called personification. Applying human qualities to non-human things is known as personification. In the sentence, Death lays his icy hands on kings. Death is an example of personification. The waves beside them danced. From I wandered lonely as a cloud is an example of personification. The foggy day mocks at my plan to wash clothes. The literary technique used in the sentence is a personification. Time waits for none is an example of personification. A satire is dash. A witty composition which is apparently self-contradictory. The hungry jaws soon the sentence sign, and wretches hang that jurymen may dine. This is an example of a satire. Sonnet means dash. Sonnet means a lyrical poem of 14 lines. A sonnet is a poem of dash. A sonnet is a poem of 14 lines. A poem 14 lines is called dash. A poem 14 lines is called sonnet. What is a sonnet? A poem of 14 lines, which is not true of an English sonnet. It has 14 syllables in each line. The Shakespearean sonnet patterns is AB, AB, CD, CD, EF, EF, GG. A poem of 14 lines is called dash. A poem of 14 lines is called sonnet. Soliloquy means talking to oneself. What is the meaning of soliloquy? Long self-speech by an actor. Words inscribed on a tomb is an dash, is an epitaph. A serious play with a sad ending is called a dash, is called a tragedy. The protagonist means dash. The protagonist means the central figure of a drama. The word related to play on words is dash. Play on words is pun. Free market is an example of dash. Free market is an example of oxymoron. Epigram is a short poem that does not exceed more than dash, more than 6 lines. Milton's phrase darkness visible to describe hell is an example of dash. Darkness visible is an example of oxymoron. Pyongyang and Washington have finally come to a consensus. This is an example of dash. Metonymy. A closing speech in a play, often delivered after the completion of the action, is called dash. An epilogue. Melodrama is a kind of a play of dash. Violent and sensational themes. A fantasy is dash. A fantasy is an imaginary story. A tragedy does not have dash. A tragedy does not have an octave sestet division. What is catastrophe? The tragic end of dramatic events. The term fiction is related to dash. The term fiction is related to imagination. Historical novels have dash. Historical novels have real and imaginary characters. Man proposes, God disposes is an example of dash. Man proposes, God disposes is an example of antithesis. A prologue is dash. A prologue is an introduction to a play or literary work. What is the meaning of the word dark? A song expressing grief, lamentation and mourning. Paradise Lost is a or an epic poem. The epic Odyssey was written by Homer. Who is not a modern poet? John Keats. Who is not an Irish writer? D.S. Lawrence. বাকি তিনজনই আইরিশ রাইটার, অস্কার ওয়াইল্ড, জেমস জয়সি এবং জনাথন সুইফট। Who is not a romantic poet? T.S. Eliot. Which of the following is not an American poet? W.B. Yeats. Who is not a Victorian poet? Alexander Pope. Which of the following writers belongs to the Romantic period in English literature? S.T. Coleridge. Which of the following writers belongs to the Elizabethan period? Christopher Marlowe. Who is the poet of Victorian age? Robert Browning. The poet of Romantic age is John Keats. Who among the following writers is not a Nobel laureate? Graham Greene. Who is the modern philosopher who was awarded Nobel Prize for Literature? Bertrand Russell. The Nobel Prize of Literature in 2019 is awarded to dash. Peter Handke. Who rejected the Nobel Prize for Literature? Jean-Paul Sartre. Who is a Nobel laureate? W.B. Yeats. Award of Nobel Prize in Literature was started from the year 1901. Who is the modern philosopher who was rewarded Nobel Prize for Literature? Bertrand Russell. Nobel Prize winner in Literature Harold Pinter is from dash. Harold Pinter is from UK. American female novelist Pearl S. Buck got Nobel Prize in 1938 for the book Dash. The Good Earth. Who was a statesman but awarded Nobel Prize in Literature? Winston Churchill. Who was the only laureate to refuse the Nobel Prize? Jean-Paul Sartre. Nobel Prize winner American woman novelist is Dash. Pearl S. Buck. সাহিত্যে নোবেল বিজয়ী ওরহান পামুক কোন দেশের নাগরিক? তুরস্ক।